Welcome to the breakdown, brought to you by PaintballAccess.com. I'm Matty Marshall alongside Todd Martinez. Well, things are definitely ramping up as we get ready for the 2014 PSP season. And we had just heard that Jason Wheeler is going to be heading to Damage. So Tampa Bay Damage making a move to get Jason Wheeler from Moscow Red Legion. And let's talk about Damage real quick. Off of the Wheeler move here, Damage looking to strengthen their team moving into next season. We're just about 2 months away from the start of the 2014 season, and this offseason started out kind of a little slow, and then it's just got to be completely crazy with players back and forth, complete teams, merging into other teams. It's been a very chaotic offseason to say the least, but hey, it's really entertaining for us. So Todd, how do you think this helps Tampa Bay Damage picking up Jason Wheeler?
Well, actually, I'm not really sure. We've talked about some of these other pickups before, and it's really going to be kind of interesting to see how Jason Wheeler fits in on the team. I know Jason Wheeler thinks fairly highly of himself, so how he works his way onto that team, because this is a winning team. This is a championship team. When you're coming onto a team that's used to having success, there's no time to play around. You got to come in and make an impact right away. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jason Wheeler fits in with this team, and then Damage is obviously going to have to bring him over from the United Kingdom to come in and play. So, it's going to cost them Damage a little bit of money to get him over here. We're going to see how that's going to work out for him, but,
yeah, and
it should be exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very talented player. He didn't have the best World Cup, but we have seen him play very well for the past 2 seasons that we've watched him play.
Well, Todd, Jason Wheeler did win the 2012 Rookie of the Year award, and he did so playing off a very aggressive Axel Godin, who left the Moscow Red Legion to go back to the Tauntauns for last season. Tauntauns doesn't look like they're going to be coming back over that controversy that happened and all the craziness that ensued there, but I don't think they're going to be coming over to the States. But regardless, Jason Wheeler played really good in the 2 position, that second to go, second attacker on the snake side behind Axel Godin. And I think that one of if I was Joey Blued, if I was CJ Botsalis, if I was, any of the guys, really solid veterans that they have on that team, then I'm sure that they consult about moves like this. If you look at how well he played in 2012, now in 2013 didn't have the best year, but then, let's just call it for what it is. No one on Moscow Red Legion really had that great of a year last season, and they bounced back and forth between the champs and the challengers divisions. But that being said, Jason is a solid 2. He can play that position. He also played the 1 for Nexus, so he's played that first attacker position as well, which I think is why he plays well in the 2. And Tampa Bay Damage has a lot of great ones on that snake side of the field. They have their starter, Brian Smith, and he had a great comeback year. Brian Smith definitely looking like, Brian Smith's an outstanding talent, a real big weapon for Tampa Bay Damage. They also have Keith Brown over there. They've also thrown Timmy Probst in there as well. And Ramzi El-Youssef has played on the snake side to great effect in 2013. So I think that they have a lot of weapons on that side. It's going to give another look for them, a little bit more depth in that 2 position on the snake side if they decide to play him on that side.
Well, here's the thing. They lose Rainey Stanczak to Impact, okay? Well, it's good because they're replacing a 2 with a 2. Rainey Stanczak did have a pretty big impact on the team last year. The way the Damage is they have a really solid core. A lot of those guys have been playing together for a really long time, so they understand how they play. They can win tournaments with those guys that they have right there. What they're looking to do is bring in guys that are going to put the team over the top. Rainey Stanczak last year played a huge factor in them winning that 3rd event in Chicago, plus getting them to the finals those first 2 events as well. They still have Chad Bougere over there on the Dorito side. They have Daniel Holiday, who I think might be missing the first event. But, the team is stacked with talent. They have plenty of good guys. As long as he can come in and have the same sort of impact that Rainey Stanczak did, I think Jason Wheeler will be just fine. But, he, like I said, he definitely wants to come in and be the guy. Wherever Jason Wheeler goes, he wants to be the guy. He wants to be important. He wants to get his playing time. They're getting Jacob Edwards back, so he's going to be over there, probably on the Dorito side where he used to run down the field for Damage. So they got a lot of good players, and we'll just see. I think it's more about him fitting in with the team and them all coming together and him putting over the top like they expect him to.
Yeah, but the Damage is a pretty, they've been around for a long time. These are guys that have been doing this for a long time at a very high level. So, they're a pretty pro team as far as that's concerned. So I think that, I don't presume to know Jason super well, but I do know him through our correspondence past couple seasons. I think he has that professional approach. I think he will fit in on that team. And to me, I think this is a move that does strengthen Damage's roster because it does give them more looks. And I'm interested to see how Wheeler is going to play surrounded by all that great talent. talent, because last year on Moscow, I mean, they had a lot of guys playing in different positions, really trying to find out what was going to be working for them on the field, and you could see it as they bounced again back and forth between the champs and the challengers division. The year before that, they had a little bit more of a solid roster, and he'd had a little bit of experience with Axel. So I think that him kind of vibing with the guys and trying to get that on-field chemistry, and then depending on how much practice he can get with them, but I mean, I'm pretty sure this is what he does. He teaches for Project K, and he's a really professional paintball player. So only time will tell, as always. But I really think, of course, I mean, you're a fool if you don't think Damages is going to be in the hunt for wins next year. They had a pretty solid season this last year. How did you feel about the performance in 2013 overall? Overall,
I mean, it's Damage. If my expectations of them are the same that they have for themselves. If they're not winning, then they're not happy. The two events, the first couple events, I mean, they lost to Dynasty in the finals. They won an event, and I mean, they were right there the entire season. So I thought they had another great season, but I mean, last year it was cutthroat. To make a top 4, to not have a semifinals bracket or a quarterfinal bracket, to go straight to Sunday semis and then finals, it's tough. It's tough on any team, and the fact that they had the success they did with the level of competition in this league, and with all the other teams in the league, well, a lot of the other teams in the league getting better. Dynasty got better, Impact got better. Heat was still a dominant team. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was tough to do, and I think that they had a pretty good season, but they're getting all their same guys back. So
they got not a lot of turnover there. Yes, they did lose Rainey, who ended up going to Impact, but it's not like he'd been a core member of that team. He did well for them, but then they got Jacob Edwards back to play with his brother and all the guys that he came up with. So I think the Damage is going to be a strong team. I mean, 2 firsts and our 2 seconds and a first in the first 3 events last year. Damage normally comes out pretty hot, pretty strong. They have won the World Cup before. The only glitch in their year, I felt, was, and it wasn't that bad, but they didn't look terrible at World Cup. They didn't really have a great World Cup.
Yeah. But another thing is that this will be their second full year under Kevin Brettauer.
Yes, which is a good thing now.
Yeah. Spending more time together, him getting more familiar with the team, and having an off season now to work with the guys and get to know them better, and for their whole system to develop, with a second-year coach now, I think is going to be really good for them as well.
I think the big question remaining with Tampa Bay Damage is that now that all these crazy roster moves have been made, not necessarily across the board, but for most of the top teams have either lost somebody or picked somebody up, and sometimes multiple players. So I think the question remaining here, 2 months to go before the start of the season, is Damage going to pick up any more high-profile players?
Well, I mean, knowing Joey Blute, knowing CJ, these guys, CJ says, Joey Blute, go make it happen, and Joey does a really good job year in and year out of putting a solid roster together and having that no-nonsense attitude, and CJ has shown that he's a great owner and that he's willing to spend money and get out there and get high-profile players and do whatever it's going to take to help his team win. CJ is a guy that no matter what, he wants to get out there and win. So, I mean, you never know. I've heard about different players being talked about, trying to come to their camp, trying to get a top 10 player to come over to add again to their high level of talent that they already have. But, we still got a couple more months till the season starts, so anything could really happen.
Yeah, so stay tuned here to paintballaccess.com. We're going to be bringing you all the updates as we move to the first PSP event of the year. It's going to be held in Texas, down in Dallas, and it's going to be March 14th through the 16th. So stay tuned for more info coming at you. Paintballaccess.com. Make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and across our social networks, and help us spread the paintball gospel. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
How many countries I've visited,
how many miles you've traveled,
how many paintballs you've shot at different people,
how much baby powder I've used, how many hotels we've trashed,
how many places I've driven,
how many guns I've gone through,
how much I love the game.
It's all the times that you had to tell your family that you couldn't be there for this or that because you were going to play paintball.
How many friends I've gotten out of it.
That's just why I love paintball.
That's why I love paintball. That's why I love paintball.
But that's why I love paintball.
There are massive opportunities, both for the sport of paintball and for your business. If we are successful in taking our sport to another level, unite with Paintball Access in our quest to elevate paintball and broadcast it to the world. There are advertising packages available for any size business. Join us. Advertise with PBA and help us change the sport for the better, forever.